Sexual slavery and human trafficking. Moldova. Moldova is a country in Europe, close to Russia. It is a very small country about the size of Connecticut. Human trafficking is very common in Moldova. Women are trafficked from Moldova out of country. They are sold into prostitution where they are forced to have sex. The women of Moldova are trafficked all over the world. Human trafficking is a very big problem, not only in Moldova but around the entire world. In fact, it is the second biggest moneymaker after drugs and weapons. Moldovan women are taken from Moldova and brought to other countries. Thousands of Moldovan women have been trafficked all over the world. Moldovan women are targeted because the economy is so poor and the government is so weak that there is nothing that the authorities can do. The main places Moldovan women are trafficked is Turkey, Russia, and the Middle East. The women are kept in brothels. Brothels are places that hold sex slaves and where men come to pay to have sex. The women are required to do whatever the men want. They are forced to have sex multiple times a day. The women of the sex trade are slaves. They are treated poorly both by the men and their owners. They are physically, emotionally, and sexually abused. Women are often sold into prostitution through trickery. Traffickers will pretend to be their boyfriends but sell them into prostitution. Or the women will be offered job offers but are actually being sold. Or families will sell them because they are so desperate for money that they can't do anything else. Traffickers make the women as dependent upon them as possible by drugging them, finding their families and threatening them, and by taking their passports so their only way of traveling is through their trafficker. The women will be in the business for often years and will be discharged only after their debt is paid, maybe if they get pregnant, or if they find a way to escape. Human trafficking has been going on for thousands of years. It's a very large problem and more girls are trafficked as the demand grows. The women are not paid, they are slaves. All the money goes to their owners. Human trafficking has not improved but become more entrenched. But more and more people are becoming aware of the issue. There are now preventions in place in people who fight against trafficking. Brothels are shut down but new ones are formed. It's an unending process. Kalina Stitt is a missionary that works at the Freedom Home, a home of restoration for victims of human trafficking. When the women have escaped from the sex trade, they don't have a place to go. So that's why the Freedom Home is there. It is a place where the women can stay and recover before they can stand up and move on with their lives. The Freedom Home feeds them, gives them a place to stay, gives them a living allowance, provides them with an education, and gives them medical care. The women show up to the home weak and emotionally and physically exhausted. They are in desperate need for help and healing. The home offers helpful resources like prayer times, opportunities to talk, and a safe place to live and stay. The women will often come with health problems like STDs. They and their children will be malnourished. And a lot of them are still battling with addictions from drugs and alcohol that their traffickers gave them. But they also just need general health care, like dentistry and such, because they have been neglected and ignored for so long. The women just need help. After the women are at the home, some of them testify against their traffickers, which is a very emotional and difficult thing for them to do. It is also dangerous because the human trafficking business is involved in the Russian mafia, and so it is not like the government or police can do anything. The traffickers are involved in a big web of connections that link back to the mafia. The Moldovan government does not want to make enemies of the Russian mafia because it is so huge. The Moldovan government and the police are very hopeless against the mafia. One thing about human trafficking and sex slavery is that it is so big and everywhere, and most people are not aware of how big the problem is. There are millions and millions of brothels out there. They're everywhere. Even local Moldovians are not aware of how much this actually happens. People are so ignorant to the problem that it makes them vulnerable. Human trafficking is a much bigger problem than people think. It's a major crisis.